What up? What up? What's going on, everybody? Today is February 10th, 2025. No doubt. And it's Monday. The question is, what we're going to talk about today is, when is a good time to exit a relationship, right? When I say relationship, I'm saying your relationship with anything. It could be a romantic relationship, your relationship with a job, your relationship with a friendship, your relationship with a family member, a business that you're pursuing, that you're building, right? Because, you always hear people say, and these, especially when it comes to like motivational stuff, they'll say, never quit, you didn't lose until you quit, and I have some questions about that. You didn't lose till you quit. Well, you could be losing as you're pursuing. You could be losing as pursuing.
Yeah.
You could be losing while pursuing. That's how I feel. So what I'm saying is like, for instance, we'll use one example. In my, I'm sure he knows too, and I'm sure he's got some stories about it. But some examples just in a romantic situation, right? Relationship. You can you can continue the relationship with all kind of stuff going on. All relationships have ups and downs, right? We all have problems in relationships. Everybody does. No perfect relationship. But if you could be having your ups and downs, but if you don't see progress in that relationship after, let's say, 3 years, you're still in the same place you were when you first met each other.
Yeah.
The arguments are the still same. Nothing's changed. The arguments are the same. Maybe your financial status in that relationship that both of you guys were in when you first met, after 3 years, is still the same. You guys are still living in the same place. Your commitment level hasn't changed. The trust is still very low, or lack of it at all. It's still there. After 3 years, now you tell me, are you winning? Are you growing? Should you continue that? Or should you, like I would say a smart person would do, and say, well, I've taken inventory of all these things that I don't see no progress in, right? I see no progress in any of this. I'm still in this. All the same things that were there in the first year are still here after 3 years. Nothing has changed. The arguments are the same. The differences are the same. There's no growth in this. So, do I keep going, as they say, or do I say, hey, you know what? Either we change something, or we just keep doing the same thing and hope that maybe one day things will change. Or do we quit? Do I just call it quits? Is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, yeah. If you want to be a person of sound mind,
right,
and use a sound decision, the most sound decision to me would mean just quit. As painful as that may be.
And why?
Because quitting would be more of a sound decision to make versus just staying in it, even though you're already aware, you've experienced it over and over, that it's not going to work and it's not working in a span of 5 years, you said?
3 years.
That's enough information to know this is probably not going to go where I wanted it to.
Right.
As much as you wanted to, you don't see a trend of it going in this way.
Exactly, I agree.
You just got to be honest.
Right. To me, logic says
yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like, logically, just look at that.
Right.
Never mind the feelings. If you really want to change something, you should look at it like that. You shouldn't be so emotional about it, because it could cloud your judgment,
Right.
You got to decide what is best and what is necessary. What do I really need versus how I feel about this situation.
Right.
Am I getting it? If I'm getting what I need, then hey, stick to it. If not, just cut it off.
Yeah, because I don't know what you think about this situation. What situations you've been in, if you've been in a relationship like in this way, or if you've tried to build a business and it didn't grow anything in the last 3 years, let me know in the comments. You let me know. Even an example, I could tell you an example that I had with a business that I was growing at the time. It was a jewelry company that I had about some years back. Fully, I had it for about 4 years. First two, I was just losing money. I was using my own, yes, obviously it was the wrong way I did it. I was using my own money. But besides that fact, I started it, and for the first 2 years, almost 3, I saw no profit at all. If anything, I was taking losses just to have the business running, But it was like on that 4th year, I started seeing small profits. Small, but they were profits, you know? The business was becoming profitable at that point. And throughout that time that I had that business, I was going, man, like, what time do I just quit? You know, just recognize my losses and just wrap it up, you know? But it wasn't until that 4th year where I finally started saying, all right, fine, finally things are changing. But I will say this. The change came from when I did something different.
Mm-hmm.
I did something different, and that's when I saw the change.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm a little confused. I'm still confused about this. At what point do you quit? Because if I had quit that on that 3rd year, I would have never thought to even change something and saw that change and saw that progress.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm still confused about that.
That's a good question, though. Yeah.
At what point do you quit? Because it could be that one time, at that single time that you didn't quit is when things turn all around for you.
This is what I think. I think you should make a deal with yourself. Make a contract with yourself mentally. Even if you got to act it out physically. Make a contract with yourself. Make lease your time out. Just give yourself, say, I'm gonna do such and such for this amount of time. And if I don't achieve this in this amount of time, that way you'll be able to you'll be ready to move on. You'll be able to move on easier because now that you physically and mentally went through it, you see it and you know, okay, so this is okay to quit now because now I made this contract with myself.
Right.
That if I don't get these type of results in this amount of time,
right,
I know it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
I know when it's time to move on, as opposed to just keep trying. Because now you got this whole emotional connection too.
It's true.
You know
and it's easier. It's a little bit easier to track too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that part especially. Because don't forget, we ain't got time to waste in this life.
I gave myself this many days. I gave myself 90 days, and within 45 days, this is how long. You could tell, you can look at the analytics.
Right.
You know what I mean? The way to say it.
As opposed to just this ups and downs that we go through in life. Like, that was a good year.
Just random
that was
shit.
a bad year. That's too much of a toll on you emotionally, for one. And you might end up wasting time.
Yeah.
Because I fucking hate wasting time. That's my biggest pet peeve. Because that's not some shit you can just get back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know it's not real, but goddamn it, while we in this motherfucker, we still have to mind it. Because we have businesses that close at certain times. You know what I mean? And everything. So you have to be mindful of time still. No matter at the end of the day, you gotta play this shit accordingly. I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of that's why I think it's so cool to be so you got to have a balance between logic and be intuitive. You know, in business relationships and especially in fucking romantic relationships. You know what I mean? You got to be able to stand firm on each one, but you got to know when to use which one.
Right.
You have to use the intellect or your intuition. You have to be logical or be creative.
Yeah, balance between the two.
You got to find that balance. You got to know when to do that.
Right.
Because you don't need, when it comes to business, obviously being overly emotional is going to cloud your judgment in a business decision.
Right.
Now, we know if you're in a romantic relationship, that requires emotions, that requires time, that requires patience. So you got to let your guard down.
But I also think on the other side of that is it does require some logic. Because you can ruin your whole fucking life based off.
It doesn't require logic. It's not a prominent thing in that arena, I don't think. Yeah. Of course it requires logic.
That's why I'm saying I think people should pay more attention to the logical side of that too. Because when you hear talk about relationships a lot of times with romance, it's all emotion a lot of times you hear. You know, when they portray a romantic relationship, especially in movies, in music, it's all about the emotional part of it, which is what comes with it. But there's another part I think that people should use more is logic.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, does this come off as a healthy relationship? Oh, we love each other so much. We're so in love.
That's when it applies, But
when
then
it's like
making a judgment, you gotta be logical about it.
Right. Like, and that's what I don't see applied that much in relationships. Because after a while, you're like, this shit is so toxic. You almost killed me last night with this fucking knife. You almost killed me in that argument. Yeah. I don't necessarily think this is the healthiest relationship for both of us. You know what I'm saying? But we're so in love.
Oh yeah.
We got love. That's what's keeping us together.
Telling you.
Okay, but what about the logic? What do you? Here's the thing. I love you, but do I like you?
Yeah.
Now, you know something about that because we talked about that before.
That's a very valid question. That's a question I think a lot of people that's been in long-term relationships should ask anymore. Like, do I? Do I? Because there's so many reasons that you may not even be aware of because you might be caught up in just going through the motions.
Right.
You know?
That's what I'm saying. Once again, all the emotion. I want all the emotions is what I'm saying. It's like, but we forget about that logical part. Does it make sense? Are we growing together? Do you even make me a better person? And it's the same thing can be applied to a job. You know, it pays the bills. So you think, oh, it's a great job. It gets my bills paid.
Mm-hmm.
But look, is it killing me every day to go here?
Yeah.
You know, does the boss abuse the fuck out of you?
Yeah.
You
The
know?
title for this should have been, I like you, but do I love you?
Yeah.
Really, because that's the decision you got to make in all of these relationships you're talking about. You know, you got to, even with, like you said, especially with the job, like you have to wonder, like, am I getting everything I need out of it? Like the environment may be awesome, right? It may be cool, you know, exactly what you wanted, but is it meeting your needs?
Yeah.
Financially, it
Yeah.
is what it is. It's black and white when it comes to that, yes or no.
Right.
You know, and that's a decision you got to make, realistically.
For sure.
You know.
You know, so what do you think, you know? Because I know some of y'all right now listening are going to a job that you don't necessarily like at all, but it pays those bills.
Right.
You know, it pays those bills. It's like, but they say every day you go there, I know you relate. Every day you go there, it feels like this could kill you. The stress level of what it brings to you, you know what I'm saying? Your dislike for it so much could almost make you feel like I'm gonna die one day going to this motherfucker, right? Or the environment that it's in, you know, shit like that.
Yeah, if you gotta mentally prepare before you go in pretty often, man, that's a bad sign. That's not a sign. That's a sign that you probably need to go somewhere where you're less triggered. Mm-hmm. It's okay. You're supposed to be able to gather yourself. But if you find yourself doing that every day before you go in, it probably means there's something about that space. I don't know. I'm not a fucking expert on shit like that. I'm just saying it stands to reason that it's probably something like an energy connected thing that's just making you feel away. That's probably not healthy for you in the first place.
But the bigger point of that is, when do you call it quits, or when do you call it quits? Because on one side of the coin, it seems successful. The bills are getting paid, like I said. But then you're unhappy on the other side of it. At what point do you quit? Or do you quit it all?
I think that's when the logic kicks in. You just gotta fucking, for one, I think, of course, if you have another plan, start to pursue that, and eventually make a decision to just switch sides, do something different. You know what I mean? First of all, change is always good. So at the end of the day, I feel like when you can't make a decision between the two, just make a decision, because change is always good anyway.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, one new decision, another one follows. And that eventually leads to just something better anyway, if that's what your intention is. That's my guess. I don't know. But I definitely think that when it comes to matters of the heart, it's probably best not to apply too much logic.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is whether it's got to do with romance or a job. Your heart's still there in it either way, because even in your job, you still got emotions tied to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. When do you call it quits? I don't know. Or do you call it quits at all?
I mean, to me, I think once it becomes unhealthy, at the end of the day, once it becomes unhealthy for you, that's when you call it quits. Like I said, no matter how hard that decision may have to be, at the end of the day, is it healthy? Do you still like feeling like this? Do you like this reaction?
Let's apply it to your situation with your daughter and your mother. Let's say in a situation like that. Your daughter, your daughter and her mother is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Situation like that. Sorry, it's the weed, pretty strong. A situation like that, staying with her keeps me in my daughter's life. But the situation between me and her mother is so toxic. Is it helping or is it hurting?
Yeah, and that was an ultimate decision you had to make. I just when it gets so fucking familiar, and then like when you just know that it doesn't make you feel happy anymore, like truly happy. Like when you're not even good with yourself, there's a good indication that whatever's transpired in this relationship, now you don't even feel good about you. There's your answer. When you stop feeling good about you, that's when it's really unhealthy. I know it's already unhealthy, but when you stop feeling good about you in that relationship, where you didn't exchange all these different hateful, fucked up things to each other and said all this and did all that out of anger, out of immaturity, but after all that, and you stop feeling good about you at the end of the day, there's the fucking cue, I think. I think that's the cue. I think it's time to get good again about you. You know what I mean? Because this is off balance anyway. Now
Right.
you don't even feel right about you. So how the fuck can you do anything else for anybody else?
Right.
You know, especially the person you're with.
Because it could be argued that now you're even more harmful to the
Absolutely.
kid's life
Yeah,
because
now
you don't
truly
even like
toxic.
you, so they see you at in that state.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly. Like they see you yell at each other and shit. Now you fucking you short, your temper short. You saying some fucked up things. You don't even realize you saying because you frustrated.
Yeah,
you know?
you're not your best self.
Yeah, not at all.
And the
man.
kid sees
And
that
is
too.
just ugly. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much. That's what I think. It's like when you stop being good for yourself, you need to take a step back. Because now you no good to anybody at this point. Not really.
Right.
You know, and trust me, I tried to be in that state, but you're really not. You're not helping anybody.
Right.
Definitely not yourself. So it's best. Yeah, I think that's a good time to call it quits in any type of relationship.
Here's another example. I remember in high school where we were in and out of school as it is. We weren't in school all the time. You know, we did enough just to get by, but we weren't in school that often. We would, you know, mind our own business and do shit outside of school.
Yeah.
You know, mind you, we were kids who lived on our own. We were 15, 16 years old, at our own apartment. So, you know, we had other responsibilities outside of school,
Yeah.
which was money, right?
Yeah.
But regardless of that, we were still going. In our minds, we were thinking we still got to graduate. We still got to at least graduate, right? Because our future lives is going to depend on that. We still got to graduate. But then our father, no shade, but I'm just telling you, is the one who convinced us to drop out the only time we ever did. But we finally went back. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
But we dropped out at one point for a short period.
Yeah.
And who brought up that idea was our father. And at the time it made sense because he used some logic. He said, you know, well, you guys keep getting kicked out all the time. We did, I gotta admit that. We got kicked out all the time. He's like, you guys get kicked out all the time. You don't even want to go. You got your own thing going on already. And, you know, as far as life went, so he put it, you got your own life going on. So why even go? Why even go? You know, it sounds like a setback. If anything, wasting your time going when you're gonna get kicked out every day anyway, which he was right. That's how I felt at the time.
Right.
So it made sense. That was the logic, right? But then it took a friend of ours who changed our minds very fast. She came to our house and knocked on the door, and I remember it like it happened yesterday. We was chilling, laid out on a mattress in the middle of the living room. We had just got to smoke weed, laid the fuck out. Not really doing too much, really, to be honest with you. Kind of just wasting time. She shows up, boom, boom, boom. Who is it? It's Keisha. We open the door. She's like, what have you guys been doing? Where you been at? I haven't seen you in school. We're like, we dropped out, you know? And she's like, you guys are losers. And that right there just woke me up when she said that.
It hurt my feelings is
know?
what it did.
But
It
from
hurt
that
my
point,
feelings.
days after, we went back to school, you know, and graduated. But my point behind that story is, it was more harmful. It was us telling us to quit is what kind of took us off track. It was more harmful than good is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And that came from our father. So you trusted it. We thought quitting would make more sense, but really it did more harm than good. So that's another situation I'm talking about as far as when do you quit or do you quit at all?
Yeah, it was a great wake-up call. So basically, we realized how unhealthy that situation. We're like, we're better off. We're better off staying in school and just dealing with shit, getting this shit over with. That's the truth of it. And it still helped guide us better than it could. Our life would have turned out way worse had we not at least went back to school. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, we had enough going on outside of school, but it gave us some direction, you know what I mean, which we still needed because we were only fucking 16. We were making it happen, but we still had no real direction around that time.
Right.
Going back to school gave us more direction.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
For sure. So that was a smart move. So that's when we knew it was time to go back.
Right.
For sure.
Although it seemed like it made sense to quit at that
No,
time.
no.
So, with all that said, you know, for any of you guys who get what we're talking about here, who relate to that, leave some comments in the comment section. Make sure to like and subscribe this video and our channel. Make sure to share it, because I'd like to know, like, do you guys struggle with that, knowing when to quit? Especially as a person who already has the personality of a go-getter, you know, right? Like, I'm always going after something, always pursuing something.
Yeah.
But when do you quit? Not necessarily change positions, I'm saying, or change directions. I'm literally saying, when do you quit or do you keep going? I know you're struggling with that question. So let me know what you think about that, okay? make sure to subscribe this channel.
All right, man. I appreciate everybody that tuned into this. I love you. I love myself, and I love you because I love myself.
No doubt.
So love yourself for yourself.
Stay up.
BB.